She looked me in the eye and said he was better. Not kinder, not more loving, just better. A single word, vague, cold, razor sharp, yet sliced through every memory we had, every kiss we shared, every promise whispered in the dark. She didn't say it in anger. No venom, no fire, just calm, chillingly calm, like she had practiced it in front of a mirror until the edges were polished and the delivery perfect. We were sitting in the same little cafe where we'd had our first date, the one with the crooked tables, soft jazz playing from an old speaker, and the smell of cinnamon in the air. I thought maybe she brought me there to revisit something tender, a small spark of nostalgia, a last attempt at something meaningful. But no, she brought me there to end us, to cut the cord clean and tell me that I wasn't enough anymore. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said, fiddling with her spoon like it held all the guilt she wouldn't speak aloud. It did, I replied. My voice was low, flat. She nodded. He makes me feel alive. That was it, alive. As if I hadn't spent 2 years pouring my soul into her. As if every sacrifice, every night spent holding her through anxiety, every gesture meant nothing. I had loved her fiercely, gently, fully, but none of it mattered. She needed excitement, and apparently I wasn't thrilling anymore. I walked out of that cafe in a daze, like I had stepped out of my own life and into someone else's nightmare. My legs moved, but nothing else did. My heart stayed back at that table, bleeding quietly beneath the weight of her words. He's better. Better how? Was he richer? Funnier? Taller? Did he laugh at all the right moments and say all the wrong things in a charming way? I never asked. I didn't want to know. Maybe I was afraid that the answer would confirm my worst fear, that she was right. She moved on quickly. I saw it unfold like a slow-motion car crash on social media. Pictures of her glowing, radiant, wrapped in his arms like she had never looked happier. He held her waist the way I used to. She smiled in ways she hadn't smiled with me in months. It felt like I had been nothing more than a stepping stone. A safe harbor she rested in before sailing off to something shinier, more dangerous, more alive. I won't pretend it didn't destroy me. I stopped eating properly. I'd sit at the table and stare at cold meals. My friends tried their best, dragging me out for drinks, game nights, road trips. Anything to stop the spiral. But nothing helped, because every time I came home to silence. The kind of silence that wears her perfume, that sleeps on her side of the bed. She never reached out again. Not a message. Not even a simple birthday wish. And slowly, painfully, I stopped waiting for one. Instead, I started trying to rebuild. Not for her. Not in the hope that she'd come back. But because I had to. Because I couldn't live in ruins forever. I joined a gym. Traveled to places I'd only seen in magazines. Picked up photography. Capturing moments I used to wish you were part of. I stopped checking her posts. Blocked her updates. I figured if she was happy, so be it. She had what she wanted, and I had what I needed. Distance. Healing wasn't linear. It never is. Some days were harder than others. But I found peace in the quiet things. Black coffee in the early morning. The sound of my feet crunching on hiking trails. The laughter of strangers in the background. I learned to love my own company. Something I hadn't done in a long time. Not since I began trying so hard to be someone else's everything. Then, almost exactly a year later, my phone lit up. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it, to pretend I never saw it. I owed her nothing. But curiosity, that old enemy, crept in. So I said yes. We met at the same cafe. Full circle. Poetic, almost cruelly so. She walked in slowly this time. No confident strut. Just quiet, hesitant steps. Her eyes were tired. Her smile, fragile, like it might crack if I looked too hard. Thanks for meeting me, she said softly. I nodded but didn't speak. I'm not here to make excuses, she continued, her hands trembling around the teacup. I need to say this. I waited. I thought he was better, she whispered, and I noticed her voice had lost that polished certainty. It cracked now, but he wasn't. Not even close. I didn't blink. Just watched her. The girl who once called me her everything. The woman who left me behind for something she thought would be more. He made me feel excited, she said, like everything was a rush. But excitement fades, and what's left wasn't love. It was chaos. He cheated, lied, and by the time I realized what I'd lost, why I gave up, you were gone. She reached across the table. I didn't move. I'm sorry, she whispered. I hurt you. I know I don't deserve another chance. I was selfish, but I miss you every day. And if there's even a sliver of you that still feels something for me, please. Her voice cracked into sobs. I should have felt satisfaction. I should have felt victorious. She left me in pieces. Now she was the one crying in a cafe we used to call ours. But all I felt was calm, like the storm had passed, and I was standing above the clouds, breathing freely. I'm not angry anymore, I finally said, but I'm not the same person you left. She nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. I loved you, I said, voice steady. God, I really did. And for a while, I dreamed of this exact moment. You, here, saying you made a mistake, apologizing, hoping to come back. But now that you're here, I realize something. She looked up. What? I'm okay without you. She broke again, covering her face, her shoulders trembling. I'm glad you found your truth, I added. But I don't want the ring. I don't want another maybe this time. I want peace, and I found it. Silence sat between us, not heavy, not awkward, just final. She stood slowly, wiping her eyes. I wish you the best, she said, voice barely audible. You too. She left without looking back. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't watch her go. I finished my coffee, walked outside, and breathed in the cool evening air like it was the first real breath I'd taken in a year. She once said he was better. But a year later, she came back in tears. And I had already moved on.